We are going to paint this lion and its reflection using the colors yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, burnt Sierra light, and neutral tint. For a smooth look, we're going to wet the lion's face first with clear water and then use a watery consistency of yellow ochre for a base coat on the whole entire face. We leave the fur on the chin paper white for the moment. While the first layer is still wet, we add in burnt Sierra light on the ears and the side of the mane. And then we want to paint some darker colors in on the edge of the ears. I'm creating a brown with the ultramarine blue and yellow ochre and burnt Sierra light. The darkest features on the lion's face are the mouth and the eyes. The base coat of the eyes, I use ultramarine blue, let it dry, and then add a layer of yellow ochre. I start building the features of the lion's face, comparing my picture to the reference photo, and the different patterns of the fur on the forehead, the high cheekbones. When using watercolor, you always want to try and paint in the direction of the form of the face around the features and the direction in which the fur lays on the face. The eye is dry enough to do the outline in black. I do notice that the right eye looking face on is a little bit cross-eyed, so I will fix that later by deepening the color of the eye and removing the mascara, the eyeliner look that I gave him using a bit of designer's gouche white. For the nose color, I mixed hansa yellow with pyroll red to give a flesh tone, the first layer, and then I darken it up with an ultramarine blue and neutral tint. I use a very thick consistency of neutral tint and ultramarine blue to paint the outer edge of the eye and into the corner of the eye on both eyes. Now you can start seeing the character of this lion's face. We need to deepen the colors of the mane, so I add another layer of yellow ochre and with burnt sienna light to give it an orangish tinge. I mix a darker color of a brownish tinge using ultramarine blue, burnt sienna light, and I soften the edge into the face, and that gives the effect where the mane is lifted off the face. We start deepening the color of the mane by adding different layers of burnt sienna light to give it a more orange look. I'm now going to build up the values and the facial features. To get the goldish tinge in the face, I mix yellow ochre with the tiniest little bit of ultramarine blue. I paint the fur below the nose in yellow ochre, a watery consistency. I add the same color into his face to give it a more goldy look. I add a layer of burnt sienna light to the eye to deepen the color of the eye and the edge of the fur by his mouth. I use a gray consistency of ultramarine blue and yellow ochre to deepen the details in his forehead and his eye area and nose. I just continue to build up the details of the face and the mane. I let sections dry before I add more color to each section. I want to deepen the area around the face to separate the mane from the face. I want to give the eye more detail. I always say that your painting goes through an ugly duckling stage, and we're just kind of into it, coming out of it. By furthering the details, the nose is starting to protrude off the lion's face. The mane is separating from the face, so we're heading in the right direction with this painting. When working in watercolor and you want a soft feature on the face and you found that you have a hard edge of watercolor that dried, all you do is take some clear water and rub your paintbrush along the edge, and it does soften. We are now building up the midtones to the darker colors of this painting. The dark brown along the sides is the body of the lion that's into the water, the edges of the ears, the center of the mane, and it's really starting to give the features of the lion a new aspect. Just working on the main line where it meets the face, adding another layer of dark, giving more detail to the fur as it meets the face. The deep color is burnt sienna light with ultramarine blue. Just putting in details. I use a fine detailed brush to put the darker colors of the fur that suggest the direction in which it's laying within the ears. They're just short little strokes in not a uniform way. Now that the darkness of the ears has been heightened, I add another glaze of burnt sienna to the mane to give it another orangish tinge to make it pop. Now that the top of the mane and the ears are darkened, now I notice that the side mane needs to be darkened, so I add a few more glazes of a deeper brown and continue on with the features of the face. I paint some gray fur lines into the whiteness of the fur below the mouth to give it more detail, to give it a more fur-like look, and add the dots along the fur where the whiskers are going to pop out. We are going to move on to working on the reflection of the lion's face in the water. And naturally, we're going to use a darker hues of all the colors we used on the lion's face because it's in the shade. And you will notice that the lion's face of the reflection is in a tilted position. This is definitely the ugly duckling stage of the lion's reflection, but keep working. It'll come, you'll see. I work with watery glazes for the mane and the face as I deepen each section, and the nose definitely protrudes from the face, and the forehead definitely has a wrinkle in it. I use a black line to separate the lion's face from its reflection in the calm water. I paint the water around the lion and its reflection in a very watery consistency of ultramarine blue, and then I add a few ripples in the water from the lion's body being in the water, and the whiskers using a white designer's gouche. I hope you enjoyed this study of the lion's face and its reflection in water.